everybody, my name is Benjamin Bloom, and the most interesting stroke ridiculous story in the championship this season took another turn tonight. I'm talking about the Spygate incident. So last Friday, Leeds played Derby. The day before, a Leeds member of staff was found with a pair of pliers outside the Derby training ground, watching the training session. All sorts has gone on. Leeds apologised as a club. Bielsa admitted it. And today, at about 3 o'clock, it was announced that Marcelo Bielsa was doing an emergency press conference at 5 o'clock. So cue lots and lots of scrambling from Leeds fans, and I think one crazy journalist tweeting, "Oh, we've been told that Bielsa is about to resign." So everything went crazy for about 2 hours with people trying to find out what was actually going on. Obviously, Bielsa is this very eccentric guy who has done stuff like that before at Lille, Marseille, quit Lazio after 2 days because of a transfer disagreement. So it wouldn't have been out of character for him to have been so offended by everything that had been said and, God knows what, and thrown his toys out of the pram and gone. Pontus Jansson then sends a tweet before that saying, "Oh, it's April Fool's Day" in his office. So anyway, no one has a clue what's going to happen, and we get up to 5 o'clock after all the speculation, and what proceeds to happen is just absolutely incredible. This barmy press conference where Bielsa basically turns up and shows all of the press his research on Derby and, all the other teams and all the dossiers and things he's got. We'll unpick what he actually said, and then we'll figure out what the hell he was trying to achieve by doing this. But just absolutely insane goings on. So he says, "Many managers and ex-footballers said my behaviour was disrespectful. I observed all the rivals and we watched all the training sessions of the opponents before we played them." So I don't know if that's... I think he was reading from a statement, so there won't be anything lost in translation from Spanish to English in this. So it seems to be saying he's watched every team train, if you take that statement literally. He then talks about the investigation that the EFL are going to have and says, I'm going to help them, I'm going to make it easy, I'm going to give them all they need. I think they're going to get a big pile of documents, a very, very big pile of documents if he does give them everything. "What I have done is not illegal, it's not specified and not restrained." That much is true, there's nothing in the rules there. "I didn't have bad intentions or get an advantage. I have to adapt to the rules linked to the habits of English football." Doesn't say I have to adapt to the rules, says he has to adapt to the habits of English football, which is an interesting word in there. "When you observe the opposition, you want to know starting 11 tactics and set piece strategies. When you watch the activity of the opponent, when you watch training, you get the information the day before a game." So what he's pointing out is the training, spying, watching, whatever word you want to call it, is a late bit of information, and he's about to go on and explain all the information he's already got before then. Why do we do that? Because we feel guilty if we don't work enough. He's talking about just the miles that managers do. "If the authorities want to protect the championship, we have to respect the sanctions against those who make mistakes." So he's saying he's going to give the investigation what he needs, and he respects whatever sanctions they give him. Then, this is the balmy part, he actually puts up his research on Derby on the big screen to all the press. He says he watched, his staff watched all 51 of Derby's games last season. Remember, Lampard wasn't even the manager last season, so it's every little bit of information going back. Each game takes 4 hours to analyse. Multiply that all up, that's a lot of man hours there. Individual players are analysed. There's a dossier on each, how many seconds they've played in each position on the pitch, so how likely they are to go. So the conclusion of what he says is, I don't need to watch, this is a direct quote, I don't need to watch a training session of an opponent to know how the opponent plays. Fine, but you still did, would be my answer to that. Gives an anecdote. Pep Guardiola once told him, you know more about Barcelona than me. He says, I want to be judged for my intentions. For me, I feel I'm not guilty. I don't have bad intentions. And then he adds, they're playing Stoke this weekend. To analyse Stoke is hard as they have a new coach. So he's analysed Luton instead, and what Nathan Jones has done at Luton. Absolutely incredible stuff. There's a couple of sides to this. First, there's the whether you think morality is actually important as compared to a rule break. His quote was, it's not named, and therefore he doesn't feel bad about doing it. And I think there's been a fair amount of hypocrisy about this, because if you took every instance of someone kind of doing something that wasn't in the spirit of the game but wasn't a named rule, you're talking about every appeal a player makes for a ball, to try and get in the referee's head when they know that they've touched it last. We mentioned it, tapping up of players, speaking to... So none of this is in the spirit of the game, but it's not in the rules. And in competitive sport or business or anything, people will go right up to the rules and push them as far as they can, and wait for the rules to be moved. And it's just kind of the nature of the minimal gains that you can get from doing that. So whatever you think of that is kind of by the by, because he's admitted to doing it. He's said he's going to help the EFL with their investigation, and he accepts whatever sanction is brought upon them. What I find interesting is why he went to such lengths to kind of say a lot of stuff which is really fascinating and really interesting, and the fact that he's gone out in public and done it says a lot about him as well. But utterly irrelevant, really. His argument is that he does all of this other stuff which is completely above board and is public information that anybody can find. They just have to presumably buy a Derby iFollow subscription and just sit down and watch all the footage that's available for $4.99 a month. I'm sure the Prozone stuff, they get the footage all included in that anyway. But it was very... The term I want to use is kind of dick swinging. It was very, well, look, I can go and watch the training, but look at this amazing research we've done already. So I'm not sure how that's going to lie with other managers. I'm trying to think of an analogy that pertains to, this one thing that I allegedly did wrong. Look at all these other things I've done right. I guess it's kind of like getting caught for speeding and saying, but look, I've driven for 10 years and never been caught, and look how nice my tyres are, and look at my service record or whatnot, because the policeman is just going to go, yeah, but you were speeding. We're not talking about any of that. So it's all a bit odd and a bit bizarre. Whether or not he gets sanctions, look, I don't think he'll get anything more than a fine or maybe like one match touchline ban. And the only reason they would do that, I think, is just to give an example, to say, look, this is kind of unprecedented. We don't really know how to police it. So here's what will happen if you admit to doing it. And I'm sure things like this will continue, and people will just cover it up a lot better. I guess they'll send somebody, pay them cash and not have any affiliation with the club. I'm sure they'll find ways of doing it. What I'm really interested in is what people think. So firstly, what do you think is going to be the sanction that the EFL find when they conclude their investigations? And secondly, what on earth was he trying to achieve? We know he's crazy into his detail anyway. What was he trying to achieve by showing everybody all the research he did? I guess the simple answer would be, to make people actually realise that the alleged sort of wrongdoing he did was not actually of that much benefit, which is what he was trying to argue always. But is that really going to change people's minds? And does it come across a little bit he doth protest too much? Could he have just come out and said, I'm really sorry, I won't do it again, I'm just really fascinated as to what people think by it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Try and keep it, if you've got a bias against Leeds or you're pro Leeds, try and keep it balanced and down the middle. Let me know what you think, because I'm really, really interested. Really fascinating story. It's not going to be the end of it, because the investigation's got to happen, and there'll be more then. So it will rumble on, and I'm sure I'll do another video about it then. So let me know what you think in the comments. Bielsa's behaviour, the revealing of all the information, why he did it, what you think the sanction is going to be, what you think it should be. So much to unpack. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. Still trying to get my head around it. Just been following the press conference and then came straight on here. If you like the channel, hit the subscribe button. Loads and loads of championship stuff. I don't have a dog in this particular fight. I'm an Ipswich fan. I am a fan of what Bielsa's done at Leeds. I've really enjoyed watching the 3 games of them I've seen this season. So I don't have any bias any way. I just think it's a fascinating kind of case, and would be really interested in your comments. So get involved there. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom, and I'll be back tomorrow, Championship live stream, previewing the next load of games. Thank you very much for watching, and long live the mad, eccentric, ridiculous Marcelo Bielsa.